Alright, let's start this DVD with something that's very important, hand technique. There are different options, of course, in creating strokes with hands. So as I already said, technique itself is only a way of, doing motions in order to get a sound. And the point is, there are different variations in sound and, of course, different techniques which cause this variation in sound. So, first thing, if you want to get started with wrist motion, is how you hold the stick, basically. When you put one stick on the snare drum and grab it like this, then your wrist is automatically in the right position. This means that the back of your hand is looking up. It's not like this, where the thumb is up here. This would be more interesting for a finger control technique, which I will explain later on. But so let's keep this motion, and this is really important, that you grab the stick with thumb and index finger, and then your other hands go around this. And same thing with the left hand. So you've got your matched grip position right now. Therefore, we have different exercises. First, I would recommend a warm-up method. This method is very easy. It's just increasing the number of strokes. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So you start with alternating single notes, like this. Very relaxed. You hold your hand, you don't push too hard, you hold your hand pretty open. But it's important that the back of the hand here looks up to you and not the thumb, so that your motion comes out of your wrist here. That's where the motion comes from. So we play single strokes, and you control it with your wrist, fluid motion. Then you do doubles, like right, right, left, left. And now you do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 'It's not about using Muller technique, like using rebound, so you need a certain accent and have, like, if you use 3-stroke technique, like 1 accent and 2 more ghost notes. This is actually something very common, but that's not what I really wanna focus on. It's not the way you play it. It's more about the number of strokes you're pushing with your wrist and you're playing with your wrist. So I would approach, for instance, a double stroke technique, like 2 individual strokes with no rebound whatsoever. The second stroke is just as strong as the first one, and this would be the technique when it comes out of your wrist. This is also a matter of sound on the snare drum. The same thing goes for the 3 strokes. And this is the key point here. For every stroke, I'm using the same kind of motion. It's not about rebound, and it's not only about letting it bounce back and thus creating more and fast strokes. And this is not how metal drumming is actually approached. It's like doing individual strokes. Like later on when you play a blast beat, you have to play individual strokes. No matter how, if you control it with your fingers or with your wrist. Besides the warm-up method and this exercise, there are plenty of other exercises. So you could also play like every kind of rudimental drumming, or you get an easy kind of thing. You play 3-3-4-4 like this. And the most important thing is, when you use wrist technique, don't let your thumb look up. It's always on the side here. It's always on the side, and the stick is in the hand between thumb and index finger, and the other fingers are around this, the stick, around the stick, and you control it with your wrist. So that's the point with the wrist technique. With any kind of wrist technique, might it be Möller? Or just a regular wrist technique where you play every stroke with the same kind of volume and intensity. So let's now move on to some other concepts.